In this video, we're going to look at how to analyze data from our campaigns. Data analysis is a key element for any affiliate and in general for any media buyer because it allows us to understand what is working and more importantly what isn't working and to optimize the campaign, try to turn it into profit. So this is what defines expert affiliates, because while anyone can launch a campaign, but when it comes to analyzing the data, knowing how to interpret it, and especially it's definitely another story. So in this video, I try to encapsulate the main aspects. I can't obviously tell you everything because it would be impossible, as experience plays a big role, having launched hundreds of campaigns. So all these things you will learn with experience and practice. But as a starting point, I wanted to give you as much information as possible. Okay, so let's start without confusing you. So, concerning the main aspects, let's start with the first one, which is our ROI, or return on our investment. Here's the formula: advertising revenue minus the out-of-pocket costs, all divided by the advertising cost as a percentage, because ROI is calculated as a percentage. Now I've simplified it a bit because as affiliates, we only need to know our CPA, or cost per acquisition, for a single product, and that's usually enough for us. We don't have an e-commerce store, so we don't have out-of-pocket costs like shipping, paying a courier, paying a call center, handling returns, and so on. We just need to know how much we earn for each product. That's our net. So the ROI formula is the same as the ROAS formula. We don't need to go into too much detail. All we need to know is how much we've earned. In our campaign, subtract the advertising cost and multiply it by 1%. Let me give you an example. If we invoice 5,000 euros, we spent 1,000 euros. We just need to take 5,000, which is our revenue since we have no out-of-pocket costs. So we don't subtract anything, divided by 1,000. That's 5 per 100, 500%. So our return on investment, ROI in this case, is 500%. Of course, it's a simplified formula because we don't have any additional costs since we're affiliates. So this is definitely something to always keep in mind, to always know how well our campaigns are performing. Then as far as the other parameters are concerned, we have the click-through rate, CTR. The CTR is the ratio between clicks and impressions, that is, with respect to the ad impression. So how many times it is seen, how many clicks it receives. Obviously, if we are good at making creatives that attract attention and therefore receive a lot of clicks, the CTR will consequently be much higher. In fact, I've also included the formula here, clicks divided by impressions. So if an ad receives a lot of clicks compared to how many times it's seen, it means we've done good creative on Facebook in this case, but it can also be applied to Google Ads. However, for this example, I'll mostly refer to Facebook because it's perhaps a slightly more used platform and has more parameters that may need interpreting. So if I'm successful in getting a lot of clicks on the ad, it means that I have a high CTR. On Facebook generally, so on Meta, Facebook and Instagram in general, you'll see that there are two parameters. We'll see it and I'll show you a screenshot. You'll have the CTR for the click. So how many times people click on the link to view the landing page, and the CTR total. So the total clicks on the ad to perhaps read the text or something. Generally, if I had to give you a generic metric, the CTR on the link should be at least 1% or more, the CTR at least 2% or more. We'll look at a specific example next. Next, we have the cost per click. So if we have a really high CTR, given equal views, equal impressions, people click many times, so it costs us less, because if we're skilled at getting more people to click, the cost per click is low. The cost per click is evidently also important. Keep the cost per click average or quite low, at least. Then this depends on various factors, but typically, conceptually, you know that the higher the CTR, the consequentially lower the cost per click is, because for the same, I repeat, of impressions, we bring a lot more people to click on the ad. Next, we have CPM, which on Facebook is the cost per 1,000 impressions. That is, we pay for our ads per 1,000 impressions, meaning Facebook shows the ad to 1,000 people and tells us what it costs us. The CPM isn't just dependent on us, it also depends on the competition, that is, the auctions that exist at a particular time in a certain period for that type of products. The CPM is a parameter that could be high or low, and it's not necessarily our fault. Basically, if it's high, it's not necessarily our fault. It could simply be a period like Christmas, for instance, when there's a lot of competition and the CPM is high. You know that if the CPM is high, consequently, everything else goes up a bit, so the cost per click increases, and even if we have high CTRs, for example, the cost per click could still be high because we're essentially paying a lot to display the ad. These are things you need to know, and with practice, you'll find that they'll definitely become clearer to you, becoming more familiar. Then we have two other important parameters that you don't usually see from the Facebook platform, but you need to know how to calculate them. You need to know how to monitor them. The first is the landing page conversion rate, basically how well our landing page truly converts. This is important because obviously even if the same number of people see it, if you're good at converting as many as possible, you increase profits while maintaining the same expense. So in this case, you calculate it by dividing the number of conversions by the number of clicks. So for instance, if I have brought 100 people to see the landing page and out of these 100, 3 make a purchase, I do 3, which would be the conversions, divided by 100, which would be the people who have viewed the landing page, and I get exactly 3%. In fact, I've put here that typically a landing page converts between 1 to 3% because we bring cold traffic directly to the purchase. So basically the conversion rate is this. Obviously make sure it's closer to 3% than 1%. This really depends on how good you are at creating the landing page. Then we have the drop-off. This is a parameter that might be a bit tougher to calculate if it's your first time hearing about it or trying to understand it, but you'll soon realize after I explain it, it's quite simple. This parameter is the dispersion of traffic between clicks and views, or better, when a person clicks the ad, the landing page loads fast enough so the person will view it, or for example, it loads too slow and the person exits without seeing it. Here we have an important parameter. In fact, the drop-off is calculated by taking the page views divided by the clicks, and even here we need the percentage because it is in percentage. So if I have to give you an example, let's say I have 50 clicks on the ad, and out of 50 clicks, only 25 people actually saw the landing page. This is an issue because it implies I've lost half of the clicks, meaning half of them never even saw the page. This is a wake-up call demonstrating that the landing page is too bulky, or at least it loads too slowly. There could be issues because I've used heavy images or such like, or it may be a hosting issue. Maybe I chose a hosting service that's not high performing, and as a result the landing page loads too slow. This is a factor we need to keep an eye on. Calculate the views divided by the clicks by 100. Generally the drop-off should be lower. 30%, so if you're already at 30%, it could be a problem, so I recommend keeping an eye on this parameter. Having given this overview, let's get a bit more practical and explain briefly the key factors to manage a campaign and know when to switch it off. Usually when we launch a campaign, we should let it run for at least 3 days, definitely monitoring the parameters that I told you before. So seeing if actually the CTRs and everything else are normal. So if our creativity is good and things like that. So even if the ratio between clicks and views is good, in short, everything that I've shown you here. So let's keep an eye on these CTR, CPM parameters. We make sure we don't lose too many visits, etc. After that, if we see that our ads are converting, obviously if they convert and we are profitable, I let them run. But if maybe it makes a conversion or two and it is not I take advantage of it anyway. Let it run, because if it's made conversions, we have to give Facebook time to optimize, so we might let it run another 2 or 3 days, even if it's made just one conversion and it's not profitable, even slightly. Therefore, if we see that an ad converts in some way, it signifies that something could be working, so we let it run and give Facebook time to optimize. Generally, if the ad spends 2 to 3 times the CPA. So if, for example, we have a CPA of 15 euros and our ad spends 30 or 45 but isn't converting, or perhaps it's made one conversion and then died after 2 or 3 days and hasn't made any more, we tend to stop it even if the other metrics are good. It's not that if it doesn't convert, but for example, the CTR is high, we let it run. No, because what is more important is to be profitable with the ad, so the first metric is certainly important. The thing is, after that, as I told you here, if it spends up to 2-3 times our CPA, but it doesn't convert, we stop it. Alright, this is a bit basic. Then obviously it depends a lot on the practice that you will acquire and a bit of sensitivity for. I tend to keep these guidelines that will surely help you a lot. Okay, having said this, I will show you an example of a campaign just to analyze the metrics together. So here we have various videos. Anyway, excuse me, 1 video and 3 images. So meantime, here we see immediately that obviously the one that has brought the most results is image 1, which has converted to 7 euros. Okay, and up to here we can already see that if we have the CPA now here, I don't remember how much it was, but if it's at 15 euros, it means it's okay. We are taking advantage. While, for example, we already see 62 euros for the first purchase. It has made one, but then it has not converted anymore. So this was stopped because it then got to spend up to 62 euros, but it did not do anything else. So we stopped it, but Gene 4, this one is okay. Well, this one never converted, so this has spent up to 23. What could we do? Maybe let it continue up to 30 euros if our CPA had been 15, and eventually then stop it if it hadn't done anything. Image 4 was still there. So this is a classic case that has converted, but it's not profitable in these cases. Let it still run. Because anyway, we have this one that generally converts very well. This one, we are at the limit. Let it run to see if actually at a certain point it starts to convert at lower costs, or if it actually starts to increase. Okay. Okay, as you can see here, we have those CPMs, or costs per 1,000 impressions, that often range around 6 to 7 euros or 10, depending on the niche or product. But as you can see, we also have much lower CPM CTRs on the link. So what I was telling you, it should be at least around 1%. In this case, it was 1.79, which is great. It went way above. Let's look at the CTR, all clicks. Therefore, all the clicks, as you can see, it's over 2, if not 3, which is good. So these 2 parameters are indicating that the creatives are attracting, they are good. So the creatives are doing well. Consequently, costs per click, as you can see, are low, because when CTRs are high, CPMs are typically low, and as a result, costs per click are very good. Well done. After this, I want to point out that, for example, this video, even if it had very high CTRs, but if it doesn't convert, it fizzles out. I mean, it's not going anywhere because it wasn't working for me. Put the page view down here so we know how many views we did, to give you an idea. For instance, let's take the calculator if we want to calculate the drop-off of this. To work out the drop-off of this landing page, we should be doing views, if you remember the formula, divided by the link click. In this case, divided by 42.36%. So this data, for example, showing 44%, means we're losing quite a lot of traffic. Therefore, the landing page might be slow to load. It would be better if you also check this data with Google Analytics on your site, because Facebook might not give you the correct views, so something might be missed. Yet, if you look at the views on Google Analytics, it is definitely more reliable. And this is the first method to calculate the drop-off. And instead, if we want to calculate the conversion rate of the landing page, then here we know that we made 110 purchases. And we know that the page views I'm 1866. So to calculate how it converts, I do 110 divided by 1866%. So that means that my landing page has converted at 5.8%. So I'd say very well, okay, a landing page that has converted beyond the average figure. I said 3%, this one converted 5.8, so great. Well, that's it for this video. I hope I've given you a solid starting point to analyze campaign data, and we also saw a practical example directly on a Facebook campaign. See you in the next video.